You're listening to the Prospector Podcast. Hi and welcome to the Prospector Podcast. My name's Andrew. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, if you enjoy this prospecting content in audio form, make sure you share it with your prospector mates or anyone you think might enjoy the podcast. Here's what is in store this episode. We do the regular segments, research, tips and tools. The gold hotspot is Whroo. We shout out a community content creator, prospecting etiquette, and I'm inventing a new segment this week, but I don't know what to call it. News is a bit boring. Let's go with the gold scoop. That works. And just quickly for you, those of you listening on YouTube, you've now got something to watch as well. Just, thought I'd play with the format a bit. So there you go. It's just images, but it follows a storyline and enjoy. Let's get the show on the road and kick it off with research, tips or tools. And this week, it's actually something I've covered in a recent YouTube video on another gold prospector. This falls into the tool category and it's like a Leatherman multi-tool. There'll be a link in the description below, but it's the Geoscience Australia portal or portal.ga.gov.au. There's enough dots in there to start an ant farm. So you think about GeoVic, but it's 10 times better and 10 times easier to use. The range of data layers and amount of options you have is mind-blowing. All the key gold info is there, mines, operating mines, mineral deposits, tenements, it's all there to add as layers. But the most valuable layers are the ones that will help you identify areas you can legally prospect in. If you add protected parks and reserves as a layer, it highlights nature conservation reserves, indigenous reserves, heritage listed land, national parks. In addition to that, you can add waterways and managed waterways, etc. Now you have a clear map of where you're not allowed to prospect. You find your area of interest and cross-reference it with it not being on an exempt, creek or river list, and then you can check your Crown land parcels, for example, or the state forests that we're allowed to prospect in, and you're good to go. You're in the right place. So Geoscience Australia portal link in the description. Just keep in mind, this isn't just for Victoria. It's not relevant just for Victoria. It's Australia-wide. It's definitely become my 100% go-to resource. It is that useful. All right, time for this week's gold hotspot. It is Whroo, located in central Victoria. Played a massive part in the role of the gold rush era. Gold was first discovered in Whroo in October 25, 1854 by John Lewis and James Nicholson, both sailors by trade. They found a large gold nugget in the grass on top of the highest hill in Whroo. This discovery coincided with the Battle of Balaclava in Russia during the Crimea War, which later influenced the naming of the area's most famous mine. The Balaclava mine, opened in May 1855, became the most famous, extensive and richest mine in the northeast district of Victoria. It is said that gold veins up to 15 centimetres wide crisscrossed through the quartz. The mine produced over £1 million worth of gold, which in today's money is around $300 million. That's insane. The main shaft reached a depth of 400 feet or 122 metres. That doesn't sound right. Anyway. And in July 1863, John Lewis drove a tunnel from west to east through Balaclava Hill to allow for the tramline operation. The tramline was used to transport gold-bearing quartz to nearby steam-driven stamp batteries. Also in the area, there was alluvial mining, one gold-bearing gully known as the Union Lead, which began near Balaclava Hill and ran southeasterly towards Reedy Lake. But the centre of alluvial mining was Main Gully, once described as the busiest goldfield in Victoria. Although it's hard to get exact numbers, it's believed there was between 10 and 15,000 miners in Main Gully during its peak. And with nuggets weighing 21 to 32 ounces, found in Main Gully. They sort of had a reason to stay. By mid-November 1858, 1,560 ounces of gold was dispatched with the gold escort. 1,560 ounces. The Whroo field had 17 puddlers, and there is some evidence of hydro-sluicing in the area. One source mentions that at its peak, Whroo accommodated various facilities, including a mechanics institute, a state school, post office, 3 savings banks, a free library, 2 churches, 3 ore crushing mills, 3 hotels, and a cordial factory. Of course, a cordial factory. In 1871, there were still 137 buildings present, but today Whroo is a ghost town, and only a few things remain to remind us of the rich gold history Whroo holds. Very cool area up around Rushworth there. Definitely worth a detect. Go out there and even just to check out the history. It's really cool up there if you get the chance in the northeast of Victoria. Okay, time to shout out a content creator in the community. This week, the shout out goes to Pickett Gold Prospecting. Pickett Gold Prospecting, shout out. He has some really cool content. It's a young channel, and look, I'm sure he'd appreciate some, love for his channel. His content deserves a lot more eyes than what it's getting. So jump over onto YouTube, and there's a link in the description below as well, and hit up Pickett Gold Prospecting. So there's this week's shout out. All right, let's do prospector etiquette. And this one might just be me. And it's really up to the person more than the rule, more than a rule. So it's rescuing creatures in the creek. E.g. bait pumps pump bait, like yabbies and mud-eyes or dragonfly children. As soon as I see such creatures, I'm in my classifier, I stop and pluck them out and put them back somewhere safe from Sucktown. On the other hand, if you're a tiger leech, you're getting smashed to bits with a large rock. So it's not like I'm a lover of all animals. I remember a few years back I was digging an undercut bank and noticed a hole or burrow on the waterline and thought, there's some chance that that's a platypus home, and I just stopped digging entirely. I left the area, and I haven't been back there. I guess some people wouldn't pick up yabbies or mud-eyes, and that's cool if you don't. I get that. I guess I'm more curious to what everyone thinks, on this subject. So leave me a comment whether you rescue little creatures when you're in the creek and you happen to dig them up or whatever. Drop it in the comment section in YouTube. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. All right, time for the new segment. What have we called it? The Gold Scoop, yes. So as a rule, I try and keep podcast content as relevant as I can. So if people listen in a year or in 5 years, it's still worth listening to. So this goes against that rule. But at the same time, I think it's good to keep everyone informed with what's happening around the traps. Now, this one's a bit late notice, but the Lankuri Gold Bash is on this weekend of October. So it's the 11th to 13th of October at the Lankuri Lakeside Park. The event is raising money for Peter Mac Cancer Foundation. Look it up if you have nothing to do this weekend. I can't get there, unfortunately, but it'll be a great event. There'll be a lot of people there, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of stories to be told and fun to be had. Another sort of news segment for you, Reedy Creek tracks being blocked by Parks Victoria. Now, there's been a lot of chat about this on the socials and a lot of overreacting, in my opinion, to be honest. Go to Vogus Prospecting's Facebook page. So see Chris. He's got a video up on his Facebook page. He met Parks at Reedy Creek and spoke to them firsthand, and he gives his account of what's going on with the blocking of the tracks at Reedy Creek. And I think you all should listen to it before you all fly off the handle and lose your shit. If there's any coming meets or events in the prospecting world, please hit me up in the comment section or shout me out and shoot me out an email. I'd be happy to promote these community events on the podcast. No problems at all. Let me know, and as long as they're legit. And we'll give them a shout out in each podcast as they're coming up. It's good to keep everyone informed. Now, what else I'm also going to do with this segment, the Gold Scoop, is something I'm really bad at, and that is self-promotion. As you know, I don't really do socials. I don't post my YouTube videos or podcasts in any of the groups. But you guys are all welcome to. You share it around anywhere you like. Feel free. Anyway, on the podcast front, fingers crossed, next ep, I'll have a guest on. So I can't say who it is, but it will be a must listen. I have a video dropping at around the same time as this podcast. Had some fun on the creek with a guest, a mate. Most of you will know who it is, but check that out. And then looking ahead on the YouTube front, the most talked about Highbanker in recent years will be tested, reviewed, and launched with Matt from Matt's Crevicing Tools, along with some big news on how to get your hands on Matt's products in the future. Hopefully we can go through all the Aussie-made tools and prospecting gear that Matt makes. It's hands down the best quality stuff around. So keep an eye out for that one. That'll be maybe midweek next week. Hopefully, because Matt and I are catching up tomorrow, being Saturday the 12th of October. So that'll be fun. It'll be great to catch up with Matt. I haven't seen him for a few months. Spoken to him plenty. So look out for that. And look, that's about it. So there's my self-shilling over. So what was that, like a minute of self-promotion? I'm sure that's going to do nothing, but, guys, please share, like, subscribe, do all those things that you don't have to do, but really appreciate it if you do them. And that wraps up this week's episode. And as always, thanks for listening. Till next time, talk soon.